Welcome back to Ozarks News Journal. We're talking today with Springfield City Manager Greg Burris. Greg is the former Vice President for Administrative and Information Services here at Missouri State. Mr. Burris, it's good to have you back.
Thank you, Katie. It's good to be back.
Yeah, well, tell me a little bit about your transition from working here and becoming City Manager.
Well, there were a lot of changes, but there were a lot of similarities too. When I was the Vice President here at the university, I was in charge of the physical campus structure and information systems, and a lot of the things that really transitioned well to the job as city manager for Springfield. Obviously on a much larger scale when you're city manager because you're responsible for, in essence, those services for the entire city.
What do you miss most about being at the university?
I think the sense of spirit at the university. I mean, when you have sports teams and when you have young people here and you're doing something as noble as educating people, you do miss that. But we have that same noble spirit in a sense at the city because we feel like public service is noble in any way that you do it. And so my experience here and the emphasis on public affairs really had a large part to do with my transition and even applying for the job to be city manager.
What are the biggest challenges you face as city manager?
Largest challenge has been the police fire pension fund shortfall. I knew I was going to inherit that when I took the job, but it was massively underfunded for a number of years. And then, over the last few years when the market went down, the underfunded level just grew and grew, and it's something that just has grown astronomically over the last few years.
Why has it taken so long to solve this problem?
Well, it's something that, it's not a very sexy issue. I mean, pension issues are, it's kind of boring. You're dealing with actuaries and rates of return and things. So, it was something that it was pretty easy over a number of years for the pension board and the employee associations to work with city managers in the past to negotiate benefits in exchange for salary increases. So in lieu of salary increases, they would increase benefits. And that eventually comes home to roost, and that's what's happened in Springfield.
What else is going on in Springfield? What plans do you have for the future?
One of the most exciting things that we're working on right now is the community's next strategic plan. And every 5 years, Springfield has gone through a strategic planning process. In the past, those have been called Vision 2020 plans. And what we try to do is we reach out into the community and we involve large segments of the community. But what I've noticed is, and I've been involved in that planning in the past, but what I've noticed is a lot of times I was the youngest person in the room. And so I'm making a real push this time to engage young people. So we're working with the Springfield school system to engage 3rd graders through 12th graders in strategic planning. I just sent a letter to all the higher education institution presidents proposing a planning and visioning competition for the different universities. And then we're also working with a group called the Network, which are the young professionals in town. So we're hopeful that through this community planning process, we can really hear the voice of young people because it's going to be their community before too long.
Has that been lacking?
Well, I think it has in a bit. If you look at the focus of past strategic plans, they never really reached out to young people specifically. So we're making a real push to do that. Also, we're broadening the topics for the strategic plan so it may become a little more interesting to young people because we're going to deal with things like public health, public safety, diversity, sustainability. And those are topics that a lot of times we find that college students, high school students, and young professionals have a real interest in.
How do you plan on getting them interested in it?
Well, hopefully that for higher education, the competition will spur some interest. What we're proposing is teams of up to 20 that would work to collect the vision and the input from their peers at their institution, and then we're going to let them present their findings and provide some rewards, but also I think we're going to look for some real creative solutions, and I think having worked with college students for 25 years, college students can get real creative, and that's what we're looking for.
What do you think about our show, our Ozarks News Journal, and how could we help?
Well, I think this is great. What I've noticed is as becoming city manager, one of my largest challenges is how do I get information to the citizens in an honest, upfront manner that doesn't get spun and there's no bias. And so opportunities like this are tremendous, and so I would encourage you to invite public officials onto this show, invite the mayor onto this show, or council members, and hear their perspective on things as well. That would be a great opportunity for them.
What similarities do you face on a day-to-day basis that are compared to when you worked here at Missouri State?
One of the similarities is the people. And when I was here at the university, I got an opportunity to work with wonderful people. Moving over to the city, same thing, wonderful people. And it's really neat to be able to work with people who love what they do and love public service, because again, I learned that here with the emphasis on public affairs. It really stuck with me. And I've seen that same attitude working at the city, because those people, they're not getting rich in their jobs, but they love what they do and they love the city. And I like working with people like that.
What challenges do you see Springfield facing 2 or 3 years down the road?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because one of the first things we're doing in the community planning process is creating what's called a horizon scanning committee. And that committee's job is to take a look not just 5 years down the road, but 15 and 20 years down the road. How is Springfield likely to change? What are the demographic changes? What will the community look like? What are some of the economic challenges that we'll face? What about the business environment? So how do we become the best community we can be? We'll take the input from that horizon scanning committee, and that will be used by the planning committees to try and figure out in 5-year chunks, what should we be doing as a community to address those things that are coming down the pike?
And what do you see those challenges being?
I think we have a number of them. One of them is we're going to be a much more diverse community than we have been. I saw a report recently. Springfield is the second whitest metro area in the country, only behind Portland, Maine, which is just an amazing statistic. Now, we've made progress over the last 10 years. We've become a more diverse community, but we have a ways to go. And so I think you can actually look at this from an economic development perspective. We've got to become a more diverse community, and I think we will over the next 5-10 years. Some of the other challenges are, for example, sustainability. We've got to figure out ways to be a little more green, maybe a lot more green. And so the city's already taken the lead on a number of these things. We'll see more of that happening within the community, and then try and figure out ways that we push that out into the community so that it impacts everybody's lives.
Do you think young people are at a disadvantage because Springfield's not a very diverse city?
I think in a sense, maybe so, but we also have to remember we have 40,000 college students in this town, and that's the equivalent of having the University of Indiana located in Springfield, Missouri. So if you look at all the different colleges and universities, we have 40,000. That's a voice that needs to be heard. And so if diversity is important, if sustainability is important, or whatever is important to college students, in this community planning process, we're trying to give the college students a voice. And so we hope that the college students will take some time, answer some questions, and speak up and let us know what's important to you and what kind of a community would you like to have in the year 2020 or 2030 to raise a family in Springfield, Missouri.
Real quick, what kind of ideas do you have for Springfield going green?
Well, one of the things that we're already starting to work on is we just got a federal grant for a compressed natural gas station. What that will allow us to do is start to convert some of our city fleets, some of the vehicles, to run on compressed natural gas rather than traditional fuels and diesel. And it runs a lot cleaner, and it will be cheaper, and it helps reduce, obviously, our reliance on foreign fuel. So that's one thing we're doing. Another thing we're doing is trying to promote green building. The city has adopted a policy where any buildings that we would build in the future would be LEED certified, and that means they would be essentially green buildings. So we're trying to take the lead on a number of fronts. Another thing that has recently happened is promoting urban gardens. Just for food sustainability. So there are a lot of things that the city's involved with. We sort of have our hands on everything, and we have an opportunity to really do anything we want to with this community. It would be nice, however, if we had a common vision in order to set that plan for the next 5 years and then 5-year chunks after that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's about all the time we have for today. Greg, thank you very much for being with us. Don't go away. Ozarks News Journal will be right back.
Welcome back. Each week on Ozarks News Journal, we put someone on the hot seat. In this segment, we take a topic of debate and let someone with in-depth knowledge of the subject offer his or her opinion, followed by a short question and answer session. This week, we're talking with C.B. Jaime. C.B. is a returning student here at Missouri State and is an international student as well. C.B. has some unique experience about diversity and discrimination on campus. C.B., take it away.